For years, the world's biggest artificial intelligence companies have been telling us that AI could transform society. But recently, their message has become much darker. Some of the companies building the world's most powerful AI systems are now warning that these same systems could eventually become uncontrollable, disrupt the global economy, or even threaten humanity itself. The strange part is that they continue building them anyway. So why are AI companies painting such alarming doomsday scenarios while racing to develop even more powerful models? Let's take a closer look. Major AI companies increasingly describe the dangers their own products could create, while often suggesting there is little they can do to slow down development. Instead, they argue that if they stop, less cautious competitors will simply move faster. Critics say this argument ignores how other industries have responded to potentially dangerous technologies. For example, when the biotechnology industry became concerned about the risks of genetic engineering in the 1990s, it didn't rush ahead because another country might do it first. Instead, it worked with governments and international organizations to establish limits on some of the most dangerous applications. Many experts argue that the possibility of someone else acting irresponsibly does not justify doing the same yourself. The technology industry has faced similar criticism before. More than a decade ago, social media companies often argued that they were simply providing platforms and could not be held responsible for how people used them. But that position has gradually changed. Earlier this year, a jury found Meta and Google liable for millions of dollars in damages linked to harms caused by their social media platforms. Hundreds of similar lawsuits are now moving through courts. Meanwhile, a court in Germany ruled that companies operating large language models can also be held responsible for text generated by their AI systems. That decision could have important consequences for companies that publicly acknowledge the risks of their own technology. Perhaps no company has emphasized these risks more than Anthropic. Recently, the company released a report titled "When AI Builds Itself." The report argues that future AI systems may eventually become capable of designing and developing even more advanced versions of themselves. According to Anthropic, such self-improving systems could produce enormous benefits, but they could also create a situation where humans lose control. The company says that if it were realistically possible to slow AI development, it should happen. However, it also argues that because other companies are moving quickly, Anthropic has little choice but to continue advancing as well. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has expressed similar concerns. Over the past few years, Altman has repeatedly compared advanced AI to transformative technologies like the atomic bomb. When GPT-5 launched, he even shared an image of the Death Star from Star Wars. He has also warned that artificial intelligence could dramatically reshape the economy, possibly requiring large government support programs for displaced workers. These statements have helped reinforce the idea that even the companies creating AI believe its long-term consequences could be enormous. This creates an obvious question. If these companies truly believe their own warnings, why continue building increasingly powerful systems? There are really only two possible explanations. The first is that they genuinely believe advanced AI could produce catastrophic outcomes. If that is true, critics argue that the only responsible response would be to immediately slow development and push for stronger international regulations. The second possibility is that these companies are not actually as concerned as they publicly claim. Instead, the warnings may serve other purposes. Some believe emphasizing AI's enormous power makes investors more excited ahead of future public offerings. Others argue that dramatic predictions help attract top engineering talent in Silicon Valley. Some also believe fear of AI could encourage governments to regulate smaller competitors, making it harder for new companies to enter the market. Governments have also started paying closer attention. Earlier this year, President Trump signed an executive order allowing AI companies to voluntarily submit their models for safety evaluations before public release. Some experts argue that these assessments should eventually become mandatory rather than optional. Anthropic recently provided another example. In April, the company announced it would not publicly release its Claude Mythos preview model. According to Anthropic, the system had become extremely effective at discovering software vulnerabilities. The company warned that releasing it too broadly could create serious economic and security risks. Instead, it shared the model only with a small number of organizations so they could identify and fix software weaknesses. That decision generated significant media attention and strengthened Anthropic's image as one of the industry's most safety-focused companies. However, only a few months later, Anthropic released a protected version of the same model for wider use, while offering another version with fewer safeguards to selected organizations. The Trump administration then temporarily restricted access to the model under export control rules, citing national security concerns. Critics questioned why the safeguards introduced later could not simply have been included from the beginning. Many AI companies also point to international competition. They often argue that countries like China are moving quickly and that slowing development in the United States could allow rivals to take the lead. Supporters believe maintaining technological leadership is essential. Critics argue that using international competition as a justification should not replace responsible safety standards. Interestingly, there are signs that the conversation may already be changing. Following Anthropic's report, OpenAI released its own document titled "Built to Benefit Everyone." Rather than focusing on existential risks, the paper argued that the goal should not be to automate everything. Instead, OpenAI said artificial intelligence should improve people's lives. Much like electric lighting transformed everyday life more than a century ago, artificial intelligence will almost certainly become one of the most important technologies of this century. But the debate is no longer just about how powerful AI will become. It is also about who controls it, who takes responsibility when things go wrong, and whether the companies building these systems truly believe the warnings they continue to share with the world. Only time will reveal whether today's AI leaders are protecting society or simply protecting their own future.